So we need a good question to start this off. There aren't any volunteer questions? Yes, Mike.
Before the questions, there's some delicious dessert over there for those of you.
No question? Well, let me start off with the sales tax. If you would tell us your position on the sales tax. You get 1 minute to answer. We're going to start with Guy, and then the next question will start with Kelly, and on down the line like that. But everybody gets to answer every question.
Sales tax is going to be on the borough ballot in October. The assembly, a majority of the assembly voted to put it on the ballot, including my opponent here. I would not have voted to put it on the ballot. The sales tax as proposed is a really terrible deal because it's a giveaway to the big box stores and to Fort Knox and to refineries. Because whatever they don't pay in property tax, assuming the sales tax would reduce the mill rate by 3 or 4 mills, something like that, it would have to be picked up by the residential property owners in the entire borough, you and me. It's a terrible deal. It was proposed to have a gross receipts tax as part of the ballot proposition, and that would have clawed back a couple $1 million from Fort Knox and the refineries and the big outfits, and that would have mitigated the problem to some extent. But the Assembly chose a couple months ago to take the gross receipts tax out of the mix and just put the plain old sales tax on the ballot. I'm going to vote against it, and I wouldn't have put it on the ballot.
The sales tax will be on the ballot. I don't think borough-wide we've seen the sales tax on the ballot for almost a couple of decades. I can recall when serving on Conference Alaskans how many people mentioned that they would agree to pay a sales tax or other taxes. Alaska's economy is different now than it was during that time with the oil going up. As a candidate, I feel like I'm in a unique position, and while I have supported some sales tax initiatives in the past, I have been spending my time listening to folks, and I think it's important that people pay attention to how this is going. I said I believe we need to relieve resident property tax owner, and the exemption is the best way. This sales tax, will do that to that, but we have to, and folks here should have to realize, that give and take, because we're under a revenue cap, and what we're doing is just shifting the burden of those taxes. And I'm listening to what people are saying. This isn't a road that just the Assembly gets to do.
Well, the Assembly spent over a year looking at alternatives to revenue to try to reduce property taxes, because we heard, and when I ran 2 years ago, that people think taxes are too high, we need to do something. I voted to put it on the ballot. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm supporting it, but I think that the voters have the right to make the decision, and I'm going to keep my personal views about the sales tax quiet, because I think it's really a decision that the community made. If the sales tax doesn't pass, then we'll know that the community feels that what we're doing at the borough and how we're paying for things is appropriate. If it does pass, we know that the voters want some reduction in the property tax. And if that doesn't pass, I would look at a motor vehicle tax to try to reduce the burden on property taxes. Thank you.
Yes, as the proposal is on the ballot, I will also support it. Though the burden to homeowners is certainly extreme, and we're hearing from not only homeowners but property owners and businesses that own property. So we do have to find a way to make sure that we make the tax equitable to all of our citizens. There are people that might be willing to pay a little bit. People are willing to step up and do their share. And so we have to find one that makes sense. The way it's laid out currently, I don't support it.
Cool. Okay. On the sales tax, I definitely disagree with it. And the reason is, to start with, we are $7 million in the hole before we take the first dollar. Because that's what the big box stores, LES, the gold mines, that's what they say to start with. We do need a homeowner's exemption. I testified on it. We started at $100,000. We're at $50,000 now. We have to get the community behind it to get that passed out of the legislation. But right now this has nothing to do with resale, so it means every time that product, goes from one hand to another, it's going to be taxed. They said do the math. I did the math. If the sales tax comes, I will pay more with my sales tax and property tax combined than I do now. And that's what you have to do, is do the math and find out if it works for you, but I'm completely against it.
In reference to taxing overall, especially the sales tax, the way I'm looking at it, there does need to be a shift in the burden. Right now, your homeowners and business owners are the ones that are being taxed. We have a lot more people than just that in the borough. The burden does need to be shifted, and reducing the cost isn't going to happen with the increasing population that we're going to be seeing over the next few years. Our cost of things that basically need to be covered are going to increase. The cost of schools is going to increase with the increasing population. So we're going to have to be able to figure out a way to pay for these necessities that we do need in our community, make our community better, which includes economic development. A sales tax, I don't know how much it's researched here, but I think that before we institute a new tax, that there needs to be a drop and a cap on property taxes. So that way, the revenue that's coming in is reduced from those who are already paying the majority of the taxes as it sits now.
Before you start, it might really close to your mouth in order for it to pick you up.
Is this working now? Okay, on the sales tax issue, I want to make it clear what the Assembly passed was an ordinance that placing on the ballot the fact that you get to choose, you get to hear what the sales tax issue is and decide for yourselves if you want to have that as a component of alternative revenue. I voted against that action on the Assembly. I felt that when I looked at it, it did not equitably distribute the sales tax burden amongst the various groups in our community. We had a consultant give us the information, and that's what I looked at to weigh in on it and vote no. I did bring forward a sales tax and gross receipts tax so that the Assembly could look at that at the same time. And then after I had more contacts with contractors in the community, I thought that that was a bad deal also.
I left on the table 3 pieces of literature, and they deal with House Bill 199. The problem is that we have so-called double property taxation. That means if you own a house, you pay property tax direct to the borough and to the city. And then you go shopping and you pay again property tax, because the business owner uses the property tax as an expense. So if somebody tells you that the property owner pays the taxes who is in business, he really isn't. It's the guy that is the consumer. Now, in order to reduce this burden on a personal ownership of a house, we have an exemption, which is right now $20,000. Well, read this, and I have a petition.